Hey guys, I'm going to go over the information that you need to know about experiments, surveys, and observational studies. So there's a lot of vocabulary with this, and you can follow along with your sheet and fill things in as we go. The first word is surveys. So these are what we use to collect information. We ask questions, we record answers, and they look different. One really notable one is the census that happens every 10 years. And so that's a survey that's attempting to contact every American, and that's a well-known one. The population is when everybody involved is surveyed. So that census that I was talking about does try to survey everyone in the United States, and so it's looking at the population of the United States. But a population could also be if you're concerned about your school, and the population of your school would be every student in your school. So it's a viewpoint of what we're talking about. A census, just like I said, the famous one we just had, it is a survey in which every member of the population is being polled. And then if you don't have time to do something like that and talk to an entire population of people, then you want to take a sample. So you may send the survey to the people in your class, and that would be a sample of your school population. Or certain groups throughout the United States may get a survey about something, and that would be a sampling of the population. The methods used for sampling. Random sampling is usually the ideal that we want to use. Random is when everybody has an equal chance of being selected. And you'll see, teachers picking people in class, with popsicle sticks or things like that, trying to be as random as possible. Self-selected is when people volunteer to be part. So they may say, hey, there's this experimental drug coming out, and would you like to be part of the group that is studied? And you kind of volunteer for that yourself, that kind of thing. Convenience is when individuals are selected based on how accessible they are. So it's really convenient if you wanted to know something about high school students to go ahead and survey just the people at our school instead of all of the high school students across the county or across the state or something like that. So you do something out of convenience because you have access to that group of people. Systematic means that they're chosen according to a rule, such as every nth individual in the population. So in other words, like if you lined everybody's names up and you said, okay, I'm going to pick every third person, you're trying to be kind of random, but you have a system to it. So that's how you're coming up with who's there. Stratified means that you group people into different groups and then select people from those groups, usually randomly. So in other words, if we looked at our grade level and we had our A, B, C, D classes, we would pick a certain amount from A, a certain amount from B, a certain amount from C, and a certain amount from D. And within those groups, we would be selecting those individuals randomly. Cluster means we're organizing individuals into groups, and then all of the individuals in just some of the groups are selected. Okay, so in other words, if we again looked at our class groups A, B, C, and D and said, okay, well, we're just going to use group B and group D, that would be a cluster. Biased means that the survey has been designed to favor certain outcomes. So the wording of the questions might kind of push you to answer one way versus another. It can be biased toward gender or race or ethnicity. Biased is usually something that you want to stay clear of. Unbiased means that the sample, assuming it's random, doesn't have any predetermined characteristics of the population. So you don't know what you're getting, male, female, race, ethnicity, anything like that. It's just completely unbiased, no favoritism. An observational study is when somebody just comes in and observes. They don't try to influence anything. They just watch what's happening. An experiment is when you do something. So like you maybe do an experimental drug on some people with cancer, and then not on some others, and that comes into the treatment and the control groups. The treatment group is the group that would get the treatment or whatever it is. The control group would be the ones who don't get anything, or get something they think is a treatment, but it's really not, which is called a placebo. That's this word here. But an experiment can also be something, it doesn't have to be, we think about the drug market a lot, but it could be, trying out a reading program with a third grade class and not with another third grade class. It doesn't have to be something so dramatic as we think of as in labs. All right, so again, treatment group is the one who gets the experiment or the procedures, and the control group is the normal group that doesn't get anything. Correlation, if two events are correlated, they're related. So there's some sort of relationship, positive relationship or negative relationship with those. And causation, that's when one event is shown to be the direct cause of another event. And so to determine causation, sometimes it's if nothing else could have possibly caused that event, then you can assume causation. And that is a vocabulary that you need to be familiar with.